We are Honky Tonkin in studio with my good friend, touring partner, Mr. Clay Walker. Good to have you, buddy.
No, good to see you, brother.
How are you? So I've been excited about this. We've been trying to get you on this show for 8 years. So you tell your mama that it finally happened.
My mama watched last week, and she says, I thought you and Tracy were good friends. She goes, why has he never asked you on his show? And I go, Mama, I'm on there next week. And she goes, shut up. I said, I am. I really am. That was crazy.
It's good. Mama staying on top of things. I like that.
Yeah, she
Keeping
is.
you in line.
Well, she's had a tough job of it for a
So
lot of years.
We got in here this morning and started showing pictures on her phone. I had one big, beautiful male mature turkey that was walking across my driveway this morning, and all flipped up and everything. So Clay has to bring out a picture of 90 of them crossing his driveway. Yeah, 90 of them.
90 turkeys.
Yeah.
And I don't even turkey yet.
No, that's why you have 90.
Maybe they know it.
Call John Anderson.
I was about to say,
He'll
have
take
you
care
ever
of that.
wanted John Anderson to come to your house? Because I know how to get him to show up.
Absolutely.
So
Tell him you got a
there's
bunch
90
of
turkeys in your
He will take
driveway.
care of it.
Well, we could prove it. I mean, you saw the video. It just keeps going and going. But I would rather have been, big whitetails with some nice racks on them.
Absolutely. I like all that. Even a pretty fox every now and then. I like pretty animals. I was out working in the yard earlier in the week, and my wife kept telling me she was seeing some kind of swimming marmot in the water, and we got a
That
big
wasn't
pond
you?
up there. No,
Doing
I'm
the
like
backstroke?
she kept trying to tell me that we had a beaver in the pond. I'm like, honey, if there was a beaver in the pond, all the trees would be cut down. They'd be building a dam, and it's not a flowing. There's nothing flowing through it. So there's no way there's a beaver in there. I haven't seen it. She's been telling me there's something in there for a couple of years. I think we've got a freshwater otter, a whole family of them in my pond.
Oh, they're
because I
cute.
finally saw one of the babies, and it's like, that's a freaking otter, man.
How do you
But
get an otter?
I don't know, because we're landlocked. I mean, they're usually in moving streams and everything. They don't usually come to a still pond like that. There's nothing else that it could be.
I hope somebody's playing a practical joke on
No,
you.
I saw it.
And playing. I'm saying I hope somebody playing. This
not
is
a
like a
remote
long
control.
play.
No.
Maybe it's baby Loch Nesses.
Yeah, that's right.
I've got a baby Loch
It's
Ness.
Nessie.
Absolutely.
It's Tracy's Nessie.
That's
You can call
what
it
is.
Tracy. That's
What are you
awesome.
drinking? What are you drinking it with?
Nothing yet, but we're going to have some whiskey here in a little bit.
I promised myself on the way over here. I was like, I know Tracy drinks on the show. And I'm like,
A little bit.
I
not
should
much.
I should not get started with this guy because I want to get in the door of the house tonight.
I understand.
Well, I'm just saying I got an extra glass.
No, I don't want my wife to lock me out.
I'm gonna pour it and just sit it over here.
So tell me what we got going on here, Patrick. What do we got today?
We're gonna play.
No,
some music
no,
and come
that-
back.
that-
This is
that.
what's this whiskey? This
Come
is
on.
a Weller Special Reserve Wheated Bourbon. That's what we're drinking this week.
Wheated bourbon. Let's
Wheated.
see.
You have
Let's
to
see
put
what
the
it is.
H in it. It's a wheated
Wheat thins.
bourbon.
Wheat thins.
Cheers, boys.
Yeah, let's see. Just a little sip. You can make it. This should last you a while.
You know what? The last whiskey I had was some Bondbrecker. You ever heard of that?
Oh, that's good. That's a lot better than what we had last weekend.
Yeah, this is nice.
It doesn't hit you as
That
hard.
hits you as hard on the front.
Bam.
That wheated bourbon.
So we got a whole list of songs here that we're going to play and scatter through here. What's our first one we got, Patrick?
Well, first we're gonna play this Lori Morgan song I had pulled up, and then we'll come back and play some.
Oh, we
Clay
should.
That's
Walker
the show
music.
my mama saw. She saw you with Lori.
She was jealous it wasn't you.
That's
But
right.
now it's you.
That's me.
Here's Lori Morgan. So we're back in the studio with Clay Walker. Man, I've been having such a great time out on the road with you, man. We did the whole month of March basically, and that was kind of parlayed off a test run we did in the fall last year.
Yep.
We've got I think this next weekend coming up. We've got 3 shows. We start off in El Dorado, Arkansas, which is going to be insane. And then what is it? Do we have
Missouri.
Missouri.
I think it's sold out. Is Missouri sold
I
out?
have them
they're
right
all
here. It's
sold out.
El Dorado, Arkansas, Camdenton, Missouri,
Missouri.
There you go.
and Wichita, Kansas.
Wichita, Kansas.
Man, the shows have been great, man. We've waited so long to do this, our whole careers, and now here we are together. Actually doing some shows together, and people are loving it.
And I just want to say that we got in the studio today, and Alexandra Kay, who opened up the first 3 shows, the first run that we did was so sweet. She brought me a bottle of Sincoro tequila and brought you a beautiful bottle of
Of
wine.
wine from Napa, yeah,
That is
and
just so sweet of her.
and thank you, Alexander. And how about Randall King comes to
Yeah.
my house last night and gives me wine.
Wow.
I mean, how's that? He comes over there with Brittany, and we had dinner and wine, and
How
he brought
nice
me a
is
couple of
that?
bottles. And yeah, we got some nice people.
This younger generation's going to be all right, man.
But you know what, though? I remember a guy named Tracy Lawrence, whenever my first song went #1, I saw you in a restaurant, and you sent over a bottle of Jordan, a real nice bottle of Jordan, and I said, I want you to sign it for me. I said, we're going to drink it together, and anyway, I still got that bottle, so we'll have to do that. That's pretty good.
That's awesome, man. Very good. We've had a long relationship. I mean, we met early on in your career. When Sticks and Stones was my first record that came out. I think it came out in the fall of '91. It went #1 in January of '92, and somewhere in that time frame right there, maybe the early part of '92 is when you and I met for the first time.
That's right. I was trying to make it, and you kind of took me under your wing, which was.
Well, you got to learn the bad part to appreciate the good.
That's why I said, "Am I going to drink with him today?" You were a bad influence, sir.
Yeah, you're not the first person to tell me that.
No, you're a great person. No, let me just clear the air about something. Tracy, that beginning of my career was really key. I had toured with a U-Haul and in a Suburban, but I'd never been on a bus before, and. CMT did this thing where they were talking about, how they do what happens on the bus, whatever it is. I forget what they did. About kind of kicking off the tour we had together, and they were saying Clay was scared. He got on the road with Tracy, and Tracy wanted to stop and go rob some cornfields, and Clay was scared. I don't know how they ended up with that story out of all the stuff I told them. Because that was not the real story. CMT kind of dumbed it down.
They ad-libbed it, and then I wound up doing an interview with them and talked about the exact same story when they asked me about you.
Guns,
from a different perspective.
Whiskey, other little chemicals we won't talk about. But I mean, that trip was...
Okay, wait, stop. Both of you stop. I'll be the adult. Somebody tell me the story about robbing a cornfield. What are you talking about?
Okay, so
you stealing corn out of a cornfield?
It was a little game that we created where it's up in one of them states that start with an I. Indiana, Iowa, Illinois.
It was Iowa.
One of them states. So we had a show. And we were all bored on the bus, and we were pretty tore up.
We were all bored.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So he's going to liven things up.
So there's cornfields everywhere. So you can drive down these little 2-lane roads, and you can pull off on a gravel road. There's corn everywhere. So we devised this game where we were going to break up in teams of 2. Everybody had a trash bag. We all had flashlights. The bus turns off the road. As soon as it gets on the gravel road, we bust off into the cornfield. The bus is going to drive all the way down to the end, turn around, come back. By the time it comes back, you run back on the bus. Whoever has the most
Hit
corn
the pause
wins.
button. Hit the pause button.
Okay.
That's the docile piece of it. What happened before? What set that up? Let's talk about that.
A lot of this
So
right here.
So I'm on the bus for my first time to ever be on a bus, and I'm on the bus. Tracy's in the back. He's already done his show, and and his whole band, they're rocking. I mean, they are rocking with a capital R, probably all caps on every letter. And Tracy comes to the front of the bus. I'm sitting there. And he's got a 9. I think he had a.
It was a 10 millimeter Parker, and I had hollow points in it.
It was loud. Okay.
It was loud as a cannon. It was a freaking cannon.
So it goes off.
I was pointing it down.
Yeah, I know. I thought about that this morning when I was coming here. I thought, at least he had gun safety, even though
it jammed, and I was trying to get the bullet out of the gun, and it went off.
And my feet were just happened to be pretty close.
Yeah, but
by.
it didn't hit nothing.
It didn't hit me.
I did have a couple of band members that tried to quit right then. Though.
Well, I had a heart attack.
I had to talk Tom Boffman off the ledge. My steel player. Tom was like, "I'm getting out of here. I'm going. Chillicothe, Ohio. I can't get back fast enough."
But so listen, and I won't say, if not or so, that there were some more shots fired at signs going down the road. Okay,
I remember that part. I don't.
Tracy,
I did that with
please
Tanya
defend.
Tucker one time, but I don't remember with that time.
I don't, maybe not. But I will tell you the funniest thing. So I get up the next morning. Well, actually, let's go to the corn scene.
Okay, so who wins the corn race?
I go.
It didn't matter.
Well,
Didn't
I go
matter.
get
Didn't
it.
matter.
I don't go with them. I go get in the bunk.
Yeah.
Which
So we went in the crew bus because I didn't want to
which
get all the
feels
corn
like-
husk in my bus.
That's
so
right.
We went in the crew bus.
And it feels like a coffin. Literally, when you climb in a bunk, if you've never been in a bunk, well, everybody know this. You think life's glamorous and all this stuff. Of course, we got staterooms and they're glamorous, but the bunks are like coffins. You get in them. So I don't go. I climb in the bunk with my boots on and fully dressed. I'm like, if I've got to run for my life, I'm gonna be dressed up. So I'm laying there. The next thing you know, I hear, "You want some corn, boy?" And I'm looking, and it's Tracy and 2 other guys, and they're this close to my face.
And we are messed up.
They are. Oh,
Hammered.
no. There's another term for it that I can't say on the air. But anyway, I'm just going, I don't say a word. And I'm like, I know my eyes are this big around. So I'm up from then on. So we stop at a Denny's, and we go in, or Waffle House, and his bus driver, Earl, Remember Earl?
Oh yeah.
So I get out and we go in. It's just me and Earl having breakfast, and he looks at me and he goes, I'm wearing my shirt, it has horse prints on it, got my silver belly hat on, my ropers, you know. And he looks at me and he goes, "Man, you need to find a way home, like now." He goes, "You might get killed out here." And I looked at him and he goes, he goes, "I don't think you can handle this crew." He goes, you look more like the George Strait type."
So Earl drove Waylon for a while. So Earl came from the Waylon Jennings camp. So he wasn't, nothing fazed him. I'm telling you, nothing
fazed him, but he's telling you, you better get out of here, boy.
Oh, he wasn't joking.
I know he wasn't joking.
He was serious.
Yeah. I don't think we would survive this digital social media age. We'd all be in jail.
You know what though, man? You know, but honest to goodness, we're just boys. You know,
we were just having fun.
And hey, listen, I grew up pretty rowdy, pretty wild.
We just had fun.
Yeah, we did, and we still do.
Absolutely.
Who was I with? Terry Clark. I was with Terry on the Opry the other night. And she interviewed me, and she goes, she goes, "Tell me about Tracy Lawrence." You know, and I go, I said, "Bad influence." She goes, it was great because we have this connection, these stories. And she goes, "I heard." She goes, "Tracy told me, you know, that he's in bed by 9 o'clock every night." And I went, "What?"
I have a feeling we're gonna learn some stuff today.
So what I didn't say, and I can say it on this show, is Tracy and I are on a tour a couple months ago or a month ago. All the shows were sold out. We're playing Owensboro, also sold out, huge show.
Yeah.
But so we were doing shots on Tracy's bus, and it was Randall, you and me, and Tracy leaves the bus for a little while. He comes back, and it looks like a motorcycle ran over his face. He had a black stripe.
I busted my butt outside.
And I looked at him, and I go, "What happened?" And he goes, "Fall, go on, and fall."
I was out there messing around with the guys loading up the trailer, and we have these cables that go down that attach to the edge of the trailer. And I turned a little bit too quick and caught my foot on that thing, and I hit the ground, son. Whap! Yeah, I didn't realize I had tar on my head.
But he comes in, and I'm thinking we still have 2 shows left, and so I started touching on his face. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm trying to see if that's permanent."
All right, I'm going to play this song before we get in any more trouble.
Diamond Rio, Norma Jean Riley. One of them great songs. That's what I love about this show. We get to play all this old stuff, man. Takes me back, man.
Oh, man.
It's making my hair grow back.
What was the first line? Was it is it 700 fence posts? There was
700
that's meet in the middle.
posts
Yeah.
from your place to mine. Yep.
Yeah, I used to love that song.
We did the math one time, 700 fence posts. We figured out it was something like
'Cause we have nothing
exactly a
else
mile.
I tried to figure it out the other day. I'm like, did they put them on 7-foot centers or 8? What was it?
I think they're on 4-foot centers because you cut. I mean, when you're building the fence, even a wood slat fence, you're taking 4x8 slats and cutting them in half. So your posts are on 4-foot centers.
I do mine on 7. All mine are on 7. I'm
Probably
cheap.
I'm
cheap. I'm trying to stretch them boards out.
The things we talk about, man.
But that's not that far. If 700 fence posts is 4-foot centers, that ended up being like right at a mile. So I only had to walk a half mile.
It's
to see
280
each other.
fence
So,
posts,
I mean,
man.
yeah, that ain't so bad.
That's 2,800 fence posts at 4-foot centers.
Well, I'll tell you what, Tracy and
Isn't
I,
that
right?
we'd walk a lot farther than a mile for
2,000 feet. I don't know. What y'all want? We did figure it out. We don't know.
So we've talked about fence posts and otters,
My
and
mind got-
turkeys, and pistols. We ain't cutting no hay yet. We ain't killed a marmot or nothing.
You want
You know what I'm gonna do today?
You want some corn, boy?
Yeah. Here's me. I have fallen in love with using chainsaws.
I love my chainsaw.
It's.
Boy.
I
love it.
I get on that freaking YouTube and I watch. I bet you I've got literally a couple hundred hours watching how to be safe and all this stuff
Oh.
because we weren't safe when I was growing up the way we did it.
Okay, if you like chainsaws, I'm gonna make you jealous. You know, Tracy has a bulldozer at his house.
You know, I got a monster Traco. Hey, you and I
Let's get our toys
Y'all get
together.
your toys together and
you
build
and I can
something.
start a construction company.
He was talking about, what do you call that thing with the?
Oh, that's
Traco.
a Traco
Oh
or
yeah,
excavator.
that's what it, yeah, he's gonna get them all.
So I've got several. I've got like 32-inch bar on.
I'm like
one of my
Kenny
chainsaws
Chesney
and
thinks
all that
his
stuff.
tractor sexy. Come
We
get
got
up here
my
on our
chainsaws.
big stuff
Let
here.
me tell you what I did. So I've been running a chainsaw since I was a kid.
Patrick, he left that one
left
alone.
that one.
How did he leave that alone?
Not
She
touching
thinks
it.
my bulldozer sexy. That's good.
So let me tell you a little story.
That
So
Traco can track me.
I just like you. I've been running chainsaw since I was a kid, man. Cut a lot of firewood, and we got a big farm, so I got trees down all the time. It's something that's going on all the time. Well, I'd gone down to cut the azaleas down at the gate, so we got these azaleas that I absolutely hate. So
That's
you gotta
real
trim
manly.
them back. Well,
Were you trimming them or cutting them down?
well, I got to cut them way back because I had a new bus that was coming in. I didn't want them to scratch my bus at the entrance when it was
Ooh,
coming
that's
in.
serious, yeah.
So I was down there and I was tired. I wasn't feeling good. I just got off the road. It was like a Sunday. You know how it is when you get in on Sunday. So I went down there and I got the chainsaw. I'd cut a couple of loads and I was hauling them to the burn pile and everything. And I was a little tired and I went back down there and I hit the chainsaw on those azaleas and it kicked back on me and it touched my freaking leg. I'm telling you, it cut right up there on the top of my thigh. It cut through the jeans and scratched the top of my leg.
Tracy.
I mean, it was so close, and I've never done that before. I will not use.
And
I
he
will not go out
screamed
without,
like a
without-
little girl.
No, it just scared the crap out of me. But I wear the chainsaw.
chaps.
I got them. I ordered them that minute. I mean, it scared me so bad. I came so close, and but I've been running a chainsaw forever. It just happened so quick.
I'm gonna tell you something else, and you know this. We need these things right here. Yeah,
Got to have them.
touch our wives. with.
Ask Johnny Depp, man.
But
she cut his off with a vodka bottle.
His finger, in case y'all didn't hear that story, she cut off his finger.
Yeah, he wasn't talking Bob, but he was talking something else. But hey, I was thinking. Okay.
Oh,
Are we going to be able to use much of this?
Yes, you can.
You know what? I'm taking. No, here we go.
if
I'm
we-
about to hit y'all, Clay Walker, this woman and this man.
Just keep cutting. Just do your
Be
thing.
right back. Hang on.
George Strait unwound. We are Honky Tonkin in the studio with my buddy Clay Walker. So complete that thought. Come on, you
We're
had something?
honky talking
Honky Tonkin.
and talking.
Honky Tonkin is a good
Honky
name
tonk
for
talk.
you. That's
Honky
your
Tonkin.
podcast name.
Honky
Tracy.
tonk talking.
Honky Tonkin.
Oh, that's a good song. Honky tonk talking. You know,
I love honky
gotta
tonk
get your
songs.
Conway voice on.
Hello, darling. Hello. So you had a thought a while ago before Patrick so rudely.
You ruined it.
I'm just playing a
Yeah,
song.
you,
Whatever.
Patrick, you just totally ruined it. I was
My
right
bad.
there in La La Land with something funny, and
Something about chainsaws, I think. I don't
we're
know.
talking about change. But anyway,
Beer and chainsaws.
yeah, whiskey and
Johnny
chainsaw.
Depp, somebody cut off his finger. You were saying we need our hands.
We need these
We need-
digits.
we need
yeah. We need those.
Digits.
Oh, I know what I was going to tell you now. There's a there's a wraparound bar that you can order for your chainsaw, but it's real important that you keep your hand, one of them, in front of that brake, even if you're cutting from the side.
The only thing that stopped my hand was on the brake, and it's got that emergency brake. So it's.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I hit it as it came down, and it stopped the blade. It literally there was a strand of denim left. It cut that side, and it stopped where the bar stopped right there. I mean, if
I
hadn't had
noticed
the
you're up
brake
there
on,
around 1.5 inches.
It scared me.
So
It's down there about 9. It scared
no,
me.
you're up there around 1.5 inches. You go right there.
It scared me. You just keep on. He can't help it, man.
I
You
know,
fed
he
me
knows
whiskey. You know, I mean, here's the thing.
That's
you can't
right.
do
He
that.
did
You
come
probably
in
don't
here-
drink whiskey. That's what my song said.
Probably don't drink whiskey. Man, that's a great song too, by the way.
Patrick's favorite.
That's
absolutely.
my favorite. That's my
Of all
favorite song.
time?
Well, at least recently, yeah. That's my favorite song.
You set the
anybody's
bar low,
put out.
don't you? I mean, of all
Well,
time.
come on, not of all time, but come on, that's a good
yeah,
song.
I mean, we got Time Marches On. We got Texas Tornado,
my favorite
Birmingham. It's in
Tracy
the-
Lawrence song is "I See It Now," but I'm gonna tell you, "Don't Drink Whiskey's" in the top 3.
So my son, who's 4, Ezra, I'm walking around the house this morning. He goes, my little Texas tornado, blah 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 blah, and he sings a song all the time, and he's 4. So some of my kids came out to the concerts when Tracy and I were up there, and I'm serious. And the other day we're in the bathroom, and he goes, and my little son's name is Christian. Right, he's 1 year old, and so my 4-year-old started to go, "Pay me a Christian ham." I mean, I'm like, where is this coming from? It's neat though that you've influenced a new generation. What I'm trying to say is, when you're old, which is a long way away, you're still gonna have some passive income coming in from my kids.
I sure hope so. I'm Tracy Lawrence. We're Honky Tonkin with my friend Clay Walker. So, we all have a lot of influences, and you and I have a lot of similar ones. But, I never got a chance to meet Elvis. I know he was a big influence on you. And so let's talk about Elvis a little bit.
Man, Suspicious Minds. I remember when I was just about, I don't know, maybe 11, 12. I was at my cousin's birthday in the middle of the city. And it was just basically a neighborhood. To us, the city was a neighborhood. I grew up so far out in the country. But I remember I used my Uncle John's amplifier that had an Echoplex. And I was singing Suspicious Minds on the mic, and these kids were all coming around to the different fences and looking over into the yard, into the backyard, and I'm getting chills thinking about it, but that was really my first taste of, somebody.
The power of music?
The power of it, and people liked it, and I couldn't sing for anything.
So that would have been, so you were born in 69, Elvis died in 77, which would have been 11 years. So
in August of 77.
August of 77, so you would have been 12 years old,
Yep.
79, something like that?
Yep.
Yeah.
80, maybe. But, I was really surprised the other night. Not surprised, but just it was cool that I walked up and sound checked when you and I were touring a couple months ago, and you were doing For the Good Times.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Ray Price song. And you looked at me and you did like this, like, hey, you want some of this? And I just jumped right in and started singing the other verse.
Because we know all of it.
I know, but it just shows me how much you and I love music. That it's just in our DNA, deep.
All the way back to early childhood.
We never did this for the money.
No.
Not ever.
And, some of my earliest memories are.
But we like the money.
I was about to say,
I like the lifestyle it's given me, without a doubt. But I didn't get into it for any of that. I got into it because I absolutely love playing music, and I love strange, eclectic people. I love the musicians that I've run across. I love the road guys. I love the people that I've been surrounded by over the years.
You love Seminole Wind.
I love Seminole Wind. I love those guys. And I a lot of people in the music business, at least the guys from our era, we got into this business because we didn't want to conform to normal society. I didn't want to punch a time clock. Nothing wrong with any of that.
I did that.
I did it. I've done it all, and I didn't want to do that for a living.
I worked at Goodyear rubber plant in Beaumont, and for a couple of years, I left the plant every day. My work boots, steel toes, and black stuff coming out of
Paper
my
mill
nose.
for me.
And I was like, it was the same thing. Yeah. And when I went on the road, when I was 19 years old, I went on the road and I hung my work boots on the door of that equipment trailer.
To remind yourself.
And I want to tell you what, every day I opened that door and I didn't feel like unloading that gear. I just looked at them boots.
There's something about doing it for yourself on your farm and your own thing.
You got that right.
Than punching a time clock for somebody else, man. There really is. And I wouldn't go back and trade any of it, but the life lessons that I got from all those hard jobs. I did some heavy duty manual labor stuff, just like you did. And there's a lot of people that do it their entire life. Man, I couldn't roof a house right now. If you held a gun to my head and told me to get up there and roof that house, you might as well just shoot me because I couldn't do it.
Well, I worked in the rice fields growing up. I had my first job when I was 13 and a half. I've paid taxes since 13 and a half years. I had a miner's release to work in the rice fields around my place, where I grew up. And
I think that's illegal now.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it is.
Well, I want to tell you something. My first paycheck was $113. And when I saw that check in my name, I said, I'm going to work. This feels good to put a check in your pocket. And, I still to this day, I believe that no matter what job a person is in, and the way you do it says who you are.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter what it is. Man, if I dug a ditch and I dug a bunch of them, I promise you, if it looked like a snake, I wasn't happy with that. I went back and fixed it. I was like, that's my work.
So I had a great uncle that when I was a kid, they were always fascinating to me because they would come in, once or twice a year, and they would travel Mexico. They had this Airstream trailer, and him and his wife would go do all this stuff, and they'd bring these little trinkets back from Mexico or Canada or wherever they'd travel to. And I will never forget this. I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and he was talking to me like I was a grown man. He said, "Son, let me tell you something." He said, "It doesn't matter what you do in life. If you dig in a ditch, when you're down there, you dig that ditch better than anybody down there. You won't be digging it long. Whatever it is you do in life, you do it better than anybody around you. You won't be doing it long." And I never lost that.
I could say that about you. You also brought me into Nashville and I'm not trying to give you too many props, but I think it's fair to give a person their due. You know, literally, I walked into Nashville. You and I knew the same. We had a mutual business friend, you know, Nolan Simmons.
Yes.
And he brought me, and he's from Louisiana as well, from Opelousas, Louisiana. We got some strong connections in Louisiana,
Big
people,
time,
don't we?
lots of them.
And you took me under your wing. You introduced me to the great songwriters. And, you know, I was hacking away at it. But I watched you grow as an artist, and you've done nothing but grow. And you grew in business smarts, you grew in your songwriting, you grew in your singing, you grew in your performances, and you're meticulous. You know, I laughed my ass off the first time we did one show together, and we had merging bands. Patrick, he had three of his guys, three of my guys. And
I joked. I said it was like the schoolyard draft picks.
Well, let me tell you what he
okay,
does though. He gets. So a couple of my guys messed up on his song. He gets so pissed off, he starts stomping the floor, and I was laughing. I had to turn my head and look the other way.
You think I get mad? My fiddle player Joe get mad too.
That used to be me. No, I'm serious. It's so you know. I felt like walking up to him right then and speaking to him. His face is blood red, you know. But I felt like walking up to him and saying, "Man, if you lower your expectations, you're gonna have a lot more fun out here."
I can't do that.
No, and neither. But we're both perfectionists.
We are.
It's so that's why. But hey, our show turned into something magical,
And it's going to get better and better. I'm excited about it. I think we have a lot of wind left in our sails.
Well, how did you feel? I'm going to ask you. I know the answer to this question, but I want the folks watching the show to know and to listening. How did you feel when we walked out in the middle of Shawnee, Oklahoma? 5,000 people standing knee deep in the mud. Okay, they were thinking about calling the show.
Oh yeah,
And
we watched it all day.
And so, how did you feel looking out there at those folks that they would not sit down?
Well, they couldn't. They were in knee deep mud.
Kiss my ass, Tracy Long. Kiss my country ass.
You can't say "kiss my country." You can't. Well,
You got these technology. You can beep that out.
No, well, I missed it. Better play a song before we say anything else.
Play rumor has it. Here's Clay Walker. Oh, but Clay Walker. Then what? Then what?
What you gonna do?
Oh,
I heard that when that song came out, that there were radio stations that wouldn't play it because you said "kick you in the butt." Is that true?
Well, we got them finally.
that
We
would have
got
been
'em
Kim in
eventually.
Tucson, Arizona, wasn't it?
It was,
Because they didn't play front porch because I said the word cuss.
He didn't say a
They're
cuss
crazy.
word.
but it still
I
went
said the
number
word.
one. How about that?
Yeah, but we didn't need them.
I was talking about then what?
It
But
did.
you too.
It's just silliness back then, man.
Yeah.
Now look how far we've come in this day and age, man. It's just a little out of
And
control.
now if you
man.
don't cuss in it, they don't want to
Yeah.
play it.
I mean, that was 3 years before Toby Keith said, "Put a boot in there." You know, I'm like, well,
Rectum.
went a long way in 3 years.
Oh yeah, and since then, look how far
Oh,
we've come.
yeah, well,
yeah,
Then what? And you know what, kids? The thing is, and too, I got a text the other day from a girl that I know, really awesome girl. She just said, "Hey, I was listening to Then What." It made me smile because I was singing along to it. And I said, "Well," I said, you know, the kids always love to kick you in the butt line because they could get away with it. You know,
Absolutely.
and so it's pretty cool, you know."
All those fun stories, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So let's talk some more about music. Where are you at now? Are you getting ready to go back in the studio? You're a couple singles in. We're going to be going out and doing a few more shows in the fall. What does next year look like for you? I personally don't know if when I'm going back in the studio. I dropped 3 albums last year, so I don't know what I'm going to do.
You know,
Where are you at?
I'm ready to go back in the studio. Well, back up. I'll restart that. You know, I'm ready to write and get ready for the studio. I know where I want to go to. You know, I really love some of the modern real country artists. I mean, there's a couple of them.
There's
out
a
there.
few of them out there.
Nobody knows who they are yet. They're coming. Trust me.
Yeah.
If maybe you know one of them. I'm not going to name any names, but I'm ready to capture that sound that I always wanted to have. You know, and it's time. Whether radio wants to play it or not, or whether anybody else, I know people are going to want to listen to it. So I'm going to go do what I know that you and I know how to do best.
Well,
does that make sense?
It does, and Terry Clark and I had this same conversation. You know, we're kind of at that place in life where, you know, we've spent a big portion of our career catering to radio, even though a lot of it was stuff that we picked. We liked it. We were in that mindset then. But really and truly, there's a whole nother body of work that we can come up with now that we've passed that stage of our careers where we really write things that are soulful and personal that really don't have anything to do with trying to chase the time frame or the charts or any of that other
Because
stuff.
look, let me just say to the fans, okay, Tracy Lawrence and I both have made some records that we wanted to make, and they become hits.
Absolutely.
Right. But there's always the third eye there watching for commerciality. You know, are you cutting something that's going to fit? And
we had to do that,
You
too.
have to play it. You know,
Absolutely.
it's a game that has to be played. Absolutely. You know, there's gatekeepers. There's people that won't play a record if they don't fit exactly what they think it needs to go in this mold. You know. My wife watches Hallmark all the time. You know, every
mine too.
show
Holy
is the same show.
It's like
It-
it drives me
it's
insane.
it's the same show. I mean, over and over, and it's different actors and actresses. I'm like, you do realize that
The plot doesn't
shows
change.
No,
No.
and sometimes in radio, that's the way it was, right? You know, so you had to fit in this format. But I think that's why there's some great music, you know, that gets discovered out there these days. On social media, because some of these artists just go, I'm not trying for that commerciality over here.
That's right. What if we tried to write a country bohemian rhapsody? It's like 9 minutes long. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, that ain't gonna work. I'm just telling
Not
you.
for
right
radio,
now.
it's not.
Speaking of that, you just went over time on this segment. Patrick.
That's right. Here's Clay Walker and the Chain of Love.
We are Honky Tonkin in studio with my friend Clay Walker. Hey,
Cheers
man.
to that.
Cheers, boys.
More of it. Yes, sir.
So I remember we talked about Terry Clark in the last break, and it's been years ago. We were backstage at some big radio thing that we were doing. We were drinking. We were a little bit. We were at a good spot, and she came up. She put her arm around me, and she said, "Do you realize how much money we'd have if we got married?"
Oh my God.
Okay.
I had
love
some
this
fun.
business.
I had some fun with her on tour. I tell
She's
you.
awesome, man.
Man, I know. We grew up in the best era. You know,
Yes, we did.
I was talking with somebody this morning, just on the phone, a friend of mine, and he goes, not kissing up. He said, I got my radio on Clay Walker Radio. He goes, that's all I listen to. He goes, because it plays all the best stuff. And he goes, that era that you came out in. He said, what do you think about it? And I said, I agree 1,000,000%. Like, I mean, I loved, 70s, 80s country, Kenny Rogers, Alabama, all the stuff. But there was never an era like the early 90s and mid-90s. That was the best for music.
It was a wave. It was that young country movement when all that stuff started in '89. It was just like a wave of country music that just took the whole country.
Man.
It was all,
and there was talent.
Most of it was good. Not all of it, but most of it was good. Because every artist, I think, had their own personality. Nobody was overlapping. And for the most part, we were all genuinely proud for each other when we had success. I mean, I'm sure there were exceptions.
And genuinely jealous and genuinely competitive. And
with all that good stuff, too, but there was good camaraderie amongst most of us out there. And I felt that way with the people that I toured with over the years. It was all good.
you must have toured with different people than I did.
Bert and I spent a lot of time together. Our relationship started off a little rocky, too, because all his fans thought I stole alibis from him because he was playing alibis.
You did.
No, he cut it. They just didn't hook it. Not my fault.
I mean,
Same, yeah.
whatever, but I just said, no, hey, listen, by the way, I was so glad to see you put alibis back in. You didn't do it the first night. And I was like, why didn't you do alibis?
But we've increased the length of the show since then, too. So
Isn't it nice to be able to increase the length of things?
yeah.
I mean,
it's
it's
about the only one of a few things you can do. Right there.
You think we've known each other a little while?
All right.
Oh my goodness! So I was telling you about this. So I did Justin Moore's podcast the other day. So I'm gonna give props to him for this. And he turned me on to this website called Find #1 Country Song the Day You Were Born. So Clay was born August the 19th, 1969, and the #1 song that week was "A Boy Named Sue" by Johnny Cash.
Oh my goodness!
And here's the other thing: you can go in and it'll tell you what song you were probably conceived to. It was 9 months before that, so that would be November the 19th, '68. And it was "Stand by Your Man" by Tammy Wynette.
You just gave me chills.
How about that?
I get Johnny Cash and Tammy Wynette. Oh man, who'd you get?
I was born. Merle Haggard's "Sing Me Back Home" was the #1 record the week that I was born.
Wow.
And Sonny James, what was it? Sonny James,
Country Gentleman.
Sonny James was probably what I was conceived to. So there you go.
Wow.
How cool is that? Just sharing a little trivia that's
They ever find out who your dad was? Or?
Wow.
It might have been T.G. Shepherd. I'm not sure. I mean, it's probably Johnny Lee.
Cheers to that. I love me some Johnny Lee. I called Johnny the other night at 11:30 at night, and he answered.
Oh, he's always up. Yeah.
And he answered. I was like, man, maybe he might be in bed. I'm just going to call him and see it. Man, it was great, man. I mean, I love those guys, you know.
Oh, me too, man. And I stay in touch with a lot of men. Joe Stampler is still great friends. I talk to TG from time to time. Mo Bandy's a good buddy of mine. Johnny and I talk periodically. I try to stay in touch with a lot. I have a great appreciation and love for the guys that laid the foundation that came before us. I always have, man. We had love the Oak Ridge boys, man. Being able to sit down and visit with some of those old cats,
Man.
it's just amazing.
You've done it, though, you know, and I never lived here in Nashville. I always lived in Texas, so I never did get to see all the guys, you know, unless we were at some CMA award show or something.
And that's just in passing. You don't really get to know people.
I know, but you got to know them. And that's I'm a little bit envious of that. But
I've got to know them better since I've been doing this show the last 8 years because I've actually got to sit down and have conversations with people that I wouldn't have had any other way. We're always cordial and passing at this or that event, and you know them and they know my name and I know theirs, but you really don't know each other. This has been a really good thing for me to build relationships with some of those people. It's been very cool.
You know what's cool too is I got to love you through your music. You know, when I was I grew up on a real modest, I mean poor boy ranch down in Beaumont, and I had moved out when I was 17. I graduated high school, moved out, got an apartment, and the song Sticks and Stones came out, and I remember getting in my car and going down to Best Buy and buying the cassette, and they didn't have it actually. I had to wait a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah, distribution was awful back then.
Well, no, it was because it was so hot. Everybody, it was sold out everywhere, and man, that's the truth. But you know, then getting to meet you and spend time around you, watch you on stage, and you know, this tour that we've got to do together, you know. No, I have a perspective that nobody else has really, and that is when you took me on the road that week with you before I ever had a record deal. I stood in the wings and I watched you perform. I watched you work the stage, and I'm not kidding you. I'm standing on stage with you at our shows now, you know, because we're doing shows actually on the stage together. It's literally like these flashbacks, and it was the coolest thing, man.
I haven't really changed a lot of the way that I approach what I do. I mean,
you still have the same. I mean, you still have that fire, not only fire, but the charisma to entertain like that. And you know, as an entertainer, look, you know, it takes one to know one. You know,
and I think, and you have the same thing, and I appreciate the people that do. Everybody doesn't have it. There's great singers out there, and we've all worked with some of them. We're not going to mention names, but there are guys that go out there that still, even the later stages of their lives, are very passionate about what they do. You know, that's why George Jones stayed out there so long. That's why Willie's still on the road. You know, he's 90 years old and he's still out there working because he loves the music. He don't want to let it go. And I mean, he's probably like us. I mean, I'd rather go on the road.
We're troubadours.
Yeah, we are.
And that's what Kenny Rogers wanted to do, right?
Absolutely. And even, you know, I saw Kenny at the Skirmerhorn, and Kenny's done the show. I got a chance to visit with Kenny on the show and talk about all those stories. And I saw him in the Skirmerhorn a few years before he passed, and he was starting to slow down too. And he couldn't go out there and aggressively get through all the songs, just back to back to back. He had to kind of take more time in between. But he visually led you through the journey of his life, through the videos, and you know, all the way back to the old rock and roll days and the gambler days and the movies and all the things that he did. And it was very entertaining, even though he couldn't sing as well as he used to, and he couldn't move around as well as he used to. He still gave it everything he had, and he put thought into the presentation and being able to give the fans something that was entertaining visually and sonically as much as he possibly could. I mean, you've got to respect that.
I do. I tell you what I respect is watching you go out there, and both of us struggled a little bit because of the air and different things. We always going to deal with those elements, but you got stronger as our tour went on. Literally, we finished in Owensboro. I walked up to my wife, Jess. I said, he crushed it. It went like this, you know, so kudos to that.
Yeah, we'll see. We're going to take a little break. We got to pause for the calls and pay some bills, but we'll be right back after this. Clint Black, very first single out, called A Better Man. Need to say a shout out to our sponsor from Pickle Jar. Go to picklejar.com where you can download the app, and when you're out at country music concerts, you can tip the band, do all these other things. Tell me the rest of it, Patrick.
So it's like a social media app for music. So if you love music, you should have the Pickle Jar app on your phone. It's easy. Do you remember when you were playing in bands?
It helps you
Clay?
dream with your eyes open.
It helps
when
you dream. No, remember, did you have a pickle jar on the stage when you were first coming up?
We did.
Yeah. So
And where did I see this recently? Like there was a pickle jar sticker that
That's-
says
this new app
the
is
big
everywhere.
jar.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's got a pick on it.
Yes,
like
it
a
looks like a
guitar
pick.
pick.
So it's
That's
a
right.
way that people can make donations from their phone when they go see their
Yeah, 'cause
favorite
nobody
band.
has cash
for
anymore.
poor musicians.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For poor musicians.
that's right.
So it's a huge thing. So go to
So
picklejar.com.
you are downloaded from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. Just look for Pickle Jar Live.
Pickle Jar Live. We need that. Yeah. Oh, God, what a song.
Mel McDaniel, man, he brings such great things to mind. I had a buddy of mine bring a couple of sacks of crawfish up to the house the other night, and I found this playlist that had old Mel McDaniel and Jerry Reed and just all this old stuff on it. So we sit out there and boil crawfish. And
How do you boil them? Tell me that. When you boil them, do you let them soak? Let them get that?
You know, the guys from Louisiana that came, I typically like to let them soak for about 30, 40 minutes each
You let 'em
batch.
get that
I
good
let 'em-
seasoning in 'em.
because I like the spices
I can
to
eat
be
with you then.
inside. These guys, they boil them and they dump them out, and then they
They're
put
not-
the powder.
they're not
on
from
them.
Louisiana
Oh,
then.
they're from Lafayette. His parents, they were crawfish farmers. He came from a crawfish farm. That's what they
Different
do.
people have their different things. I never like
Everybody's
putting
got.
that powder
See, I had a
stuff
buddy
on,
of mine that would like
Tracy.
when they got boiled, when they got done, he wanted to soak them in cold water and put the spices in the cold water. Said that once he'd hit that cold water, it'd suck the spices in. But I like to let them soak personally. That's my thing because I want to suck the heads.
You hit them
So-
with ice. You hit them.
But when you hit that
boil
cold
'em,
to them, they'll suck all those spices up
That's
inside
right.
the cavity. See, I like the moisture in that cavity. That's
I do
personally
too.
what I like.
You're talking my language, and
That's
you tell
what I
them
like.
these guys are from Lafayette. I don't believe it. I think
They
they're
are.
counterfeits. They did that.
They really are. I mean, that's they grew up doing that. But everybody's got their own things that they like. But we listen to all that old stuff. That's my favorite stuff when I'm out in the yard and doing stuff. Is all that old
Louisiana
classic
Saturday night, man. How many times did you sing that growing up?
Oh
'Cause
my
I
God!
bet
Or
that was in
Conway Twitty and tight fitting jeans, or I mean, any of that old stuff. I mean, all that old stuff.
Mel McDaniel. I used to love that song "Stand Up" too. You know what I'm talking
Stand on it, going on down, stand on
about? No,
it.
"Stand Up."
I don't remember stand up. I remember stand on it was the one that
No,
he did.
"Stand Up." Tell
Have
me
you ever
all
been-
about. Have you ever
You're
been
right,
stand
'cause
up?
I used to play.
Testify.
I
yeah.
used to play that one too. Wow.
Stand up. Yeah, that was it, man. Those two songs at the Louisiana Saturday night was the one.
But all that stuff, I mean, if you look back, you know.
Where you get down the fiddle and you get down the bow, kick off your shoes and you throw 'em on the floor, dance in the kitchen till the morning light. Louisiana Saturday night. I married me a Louisiana girl. That's how I know that stuff.
I love all that stuff. But, all that stuff was a heavy influence on me. I mean, all that old classic country like that, I grew up listening to it and absolutely
But we do
loved it.
some of that in our shows too. I mean, maybe too much because we get a little carried away, don't we, with it?
Yep. But we'll have to address that here. Tracy Bird's going to be out with us this next weekend.
That's
when we
right.
Go back out.
That's right. Now I even heard that our managers are talking about some more shows, so that's good too.
That's going to be good. So we got a short break here, so we're going to get back.
We'll play one of Clay's songs and then we'll come right back.
Let's do it. Great Randy Travis, but didn't have you. So Clay Walker in the studio. We're Honky Tonkin. Let's talk about some of the new music. So you are on what label? You're on
Toby Keith's label.
Toby Keith's label. That's a Universal Distribution label still.
That's right. Label.
Yep. And so you
called
cut-
Show Dog.
Show Dog Records. You got a new album that's out. So we've been out promoting that stuff, and you actually had one or two singles out already.
We had two. We had Need a Bar Sometime, and the current one is Catching Up with an Old Memory.
Yep. And you've been doing that one in the show that when we've been out on the road. You've been playing.
That's
that on the
exactly
show.
right. You've been doing a couple new ones. I've been doing that new one. Catching Up with an Old Memory is really catching on right now. We had double the growth this month. We doubled the plays that we had last month.
So I want to talk
Wow.
to you. I want to talk about Michael Knox. He's a guy that I've been wanting to work with for a long time, and I know he produces Jason Aldean. I think he came from the Weah family. He was a demo producer years ago, and I've known Michael for some time. What's it like working with him, man? Tell me his process. I'm pretty interested in that.
Well, he knows what he wants, and
But he has a different production technique than a lot of people.
He
He's
does.
not like nothing like James Stroud or Jimmy Bowen or any of those
No.
guys that we've worked with.
no, and you and I both had Stroud. We love Stroud. James Stroud produced Clint Black, us, Charlie Daniels. I mean, he is a
John Anderson, Tim McGraw.
Just
I mean,
keep,
the list
just
is
keep
endless.
going.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so Michael Knox, I knew he produced Jason Aldean, and he just understands a new sound that radio wants to play, and that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be led, and so he said, look, he said, I'll do your record. He said, I'm a big fan. He said, but man, he goes, I'll do it on one condition. I said, what's that? He goes, you write every song. I went, okay. You know, when you and I write a lot, you know, but he said, I want this to be about Clay, about where you are, what your life is right now. He said, I think that's what fans want. He said, they really want the real stuff. And so that's what this album is. I can tell you, he's a no-nonsense guy in the studio, really fun. But, man, when it comes time to you know, downbeat, you know, record, it's on, man. And, I mean, he's intense in a good way.
Really?
Yeah.
One of these days I'm going to work with him. He's on my list of guys, so I'm just kind of fascinated by him. I think he's one of the better producers in town. He's one of the good guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's one of the best, if not the, you know. And,
so of all the stuff over the years, what's your favorite song that you've recorded that you've written? What's your favorite one that you've done?
oh, it's easy. Live Until I Die. That was my first. It's my second single. I didn't write What's It To You. I wrote Live Until I Die, and it's wrote it by myself. It's an autobiography. I wrote it when I was 17. You know, about 15 years ago. How long
Were you on a tractor?
I might have been, but you know, it was growing up in the country, and you know, muddy roads, muddy feet. You know, I was so poor. You know, everything I had was a hand-me-down, and I went without shoes in the summer. All my cousins and I went without shoes, and so the muddy roads, muddy feet. You know, that was real. We went and picked blackberries, went fishing. You know, never had shoes on. Grew up in the country. And, man, I wouldn't trade that for nothing. But every time I hear that song, I can smell the blackberry cobbler that my grandma would make.
Oh, my
you know.
gosh.
So that was so every night when I sing that song, I can literally smell it.
I think we should play that now.
Yes.
Please. Clay Walker in studio with us right now.
She won't be lonely long, buddy. You know, we've met some good women. You know,
we've been very blessed. Yes, we have.
Yes, we have, and we know
Good women and good trucks.
and good. Yes, oh yes. Now, I got a bench seat in my truck. I don't know about you, but my wife wanted me to put a bench seat in there, and you know, you couldn't get the big Lucchese packages or anything, so I just got the standard package that comes.
She likes to sit next to you and put her hand on your thigh.
Well, she won't do. She's shy. You know, she's still shy. She won't do that. But I put my hand on her knee. But yeah, I saw your truck. Yeah, I drive a 2013 F350 white out here, and I drove up and I just saw your big
my F250. Yeah, big shout out to Courtesy Ford in Bro Bridge down there in Louisiana. See, they give them a free plug right there because that's where I got my truck from.
That's good. And I'm wondering how you like. I don't have a new one. I'm thinking about it. I only have 93,000 miles on mine. It's probably because we're always gone. But yeah. What do you like? Have you driven Fords a lot or no?
You know, I was a Chevy guy for a long time. I mean, where I grew up back home, we had a Chevy dealership in the town. We didn't have Fords. Everybody drove Chevys.
Z71, I had step sides. I loved them.
And I had a deal with a Chevrolet dealership out of Wichita Falls for a long time. And you know, it took for one of my real good friends has the Ford dealership in Lebanon, Tennessee, and he would try to get me in a Ford forever and ever and ever and ever, and I just fought it. But I tell you, once I got into that Super Duty. It's a beast. The turbo in these new ones is just unbelievable. It'll pull more than it'll stop. I'll tell you that.
I've never had one problem out of my 2013.
Only problem. I mean, it's so strong and it drives so good, and I like being above everything. I mean, people move out the way.
I can pull my skid steer. I can haul a load of cows to the sale, whatever I got to do. But the thing I like most about mine, and this is the way I judged it. You know, I played my music in a Chevy, then I played it in a Ford, and it just sounded better in the Ford.
Y'all are so. Let me point out how country y'all are. We're supposed to be talking about Clay's new song. Go ahead and talk about the new song so we can play it.
Well, I was just
and then they just start talking about trucks.
We talk about all kinds of
Patrick
equipment and crawfish and food, all that stuff.
It's Clay's new song. No, I talk about my truck.
Well, let me just tell you this. You know, our greatest memories happened in our vehicles.
Same with me. I'm just saying.
You know,
and so catching up with an old memory kind of works. Like, you know what I'm saying?
But when you I see what you just did there. That's good.
That's good.
So should we just go ahead and do that?
Yeah, that's okay. Let's play the song.
Go ahead and do that. See, there you got your segue built right in there, Pato. In studio with Clay Walker. That's catching up with an old memory. Brand new stuff from him. Man, I don't want to be done yet, but we're running out of time. I mean,
we're not running out of whiskey.
No, but you know what? Me and you, when we get on the road next week, me and you and T-Bird ought to sit down and have a little conversation, get all my gear out. We'll do.
We can all sing alibis again.
But let's sit down and talk and have some conversations and tell little stories. Because I'm still one of my greatest pranks of all time on the road was when I put 1,000 crickets in T-Bird's bus and he hadn't got me back for it yet. I scattered them from front.
I'm
to
gonna
back.
help him.
No.
I'm gonna help him
No
get
help,
you back.
but he's got to get me back. Because he's too quiet about it. It's been too long. And I'm really scared. I'm scared.
You should be.
I'm
Because
scared.
he's been waiting, what, 20 years
He better
to get
not
you back for
he
that?
better not put crickets in my new bus now.
Oh, your new bus is so good. I'm so jealous. Yeah, that's the best looking bus I've ever been in.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, you have it.
Yeah. It's
So when I
Yeah,
get ready to
enjoy
lay-
those crickets, Tracy.
But
That's
better not
real
be-
good.
Hey, if you can help me get
Buckets.
catching up with an old memory to number one, see, I can afford a new interior. I can
There you go.
I can try. Yeah. You're still leading the way.
So let's talk about all the places, social media platforms. So I know you have a huge presence on TikTok now because I see you on there all the time talking about everything from your daddy's hammer with the little crook in it and whatnot. I see you doing all your stuff on there. I'm aware. So you got
Well,
TikTok.
George and you are the king of country music. I got to be the king of something. I'll be the king of TikTok.
Oh, good, man. So they can find you on TikTok. What other places? Your website, claywalker.com, obviously.
Oh, yeah, Instagram.
Facebook, all that good stuff.
And Facebook, Instagram, we do it all. I have so much fun with it. TikTok to me has become like seriously like addictive. I'm having too much fun.
I'm not there yet. Yeah.
It's okay. I know
Yeah,
you're old.
I'm old. I'm a year older than you. You better look up to your elders, man.
Yeah.
And I just thank you for having me on. And I'm glad we waited 8 years.
Yeah, it just goes too fast, man. But thank you. The conversation was great, and there's so much more that we have to talk about. And I love you. Always good sharing the
Oh, I
stage
love
with
you
you
so much, man.
Look
You're-
forward to being back out on the road with you next week.
You're one of the best people I know.
God bless you, man. Clay Walker, thank you for being here, my friend.